Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is John Paval with Access Arts Live with the Access Chamber Music and Contemporary Music Live Stream Action Roundup for November 24th to December 1st, 2025. I am looking forward to giving you the lowdown on all that's happening this week. Most of it's relatively early during this week and on Sunday. This is Thanksgiving time in the United States, so a number of chamber music live streaming services are just not going to be putting out product this week. They're looking forward to their Christmas offerings, but we do have everything from Beethoven and Brahms to Debussy and Ravel to Zwilch and Benjamin, played by young performers, up-and-coming performers, rising star performers, octogenarian performers in Europe and in the U.S., on the East Coast and on the West Coast. So let's get to this week's roundup. Before I go any further, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other live streams, do yourself a favor and don't just like the video. Follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn to make sure you get the more than 1,000 live links to live performances along the lines of what I'm going to be telling you about this year. So, having said that, if you're just catching up with Access Arts Live today, then you did miss out on an earlier live stream today. St. Mary's Perivale was live streaming the Emanuil Ivanov on the piano and playing selections from the preludes of Debussy and other things. And it was a lovely concert that you've missed. But let's go on to the concerts that you don't have to miss. We have two more live streams today, one of them very classical and one of them very contemporary. So let's deal with the first of them first. Tuesday, November 25th, Noontime Concerts in San Francisco live streams the AEST Ensemble Trio, playing Beethoven's Piano Trio in D-flat major, Opus 1, and Brahms's Piano Trio number 1 in B major, Opus 8, I'm sorry. I'm losing my eyesight. So they're playing early compositions, ordinarily, not always, but that's what those lower opus numbers can often mean, by Beethoven and Brahms, piano trios. This is at noon in San Francisco, which means it'll be at 3:30 in New York, and it will be 9:30 in the evening on the streets of Paris or here in Stockholm, where I am in Europe, or 7:30 in the morning tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, down under in Australia on the streets of Sydney or Melbourne. How about that? Anyway, so you know what they're playing. Let me tell you who they are. Craig, this is a trio, and the director of it is Craig Rice, or Reese, R-E-I-S-S. I never know whether Americans go by an original pronunciation or an Americanized pronunciation, but it's R-E-I-S-S. Chris Rice is how I would pronounce it. He is a member of the San Francisco Opera Orchestra, and he's the associate principal second violin of the San Francisco Ballet Orchestra. He's done solos with these orchestras at the Carmel Bach Festival, with the Oakland Civic Orchestra, the Nova Vista Symphony, the Vallejo Symphony. You get the idea. Taught music at Blackburn Music Academy up in the Napa Valley, which must be a lovely place to do that, and at the Marin Academy, taking part in festivals like Tanglewood, Spoleto, and such. The cellist is Michelle Jokic, and she also is both a chamber musician, soloist, and an orchestral musician. She likes to found things. Back in 1997, she founded a group called the Concordia Chamber Players in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and her latest bio says she's still the artistic director of it. And they also have apparently an annual Concordia Chamber Fest. She, in 2017, 20 years later, she founded Music West, which is which uses like open rehearsal formats and all of that to invite in and help especially younger people to develop empathic awareness and learn to resolve conflicts and build peaceable communities. And dealing with issues like bullying and shaming and exclusion and that kind of thing that kids do, because they watch their parents and they see the adults doing it, by the way. But anyway, you really wanted to end that stuff. Let the grown-ups stop doing it. But anyway, then the pianist is Elizabeth Dorman, and she's been she's been a soloist with orchestras like the Louisville Orchestra, the Leipzig Mendelssohn Chamber Orchestra, the Santa Rosa Symphony, which she did a recording with, San Francisco Symphony Youth Orchestra, the Stanford Summer Symphony Orchestra, etc. She has a recording out on Delos Records as a concerto soloist with the Santa Rosa Symphony, celebrating the music of Ellen Tafla Zwilch. And why do I make a point of underlining this? Because later on, I'll be telling you about a concert this Sunday where you can hear some chamber music of Ellen Tafla Zwilch. So if you happen to end up seeing this yourself, Elizabeth, you might want to tune in to the community concerts at Second on Sunday when there will be some Ellen Tafla Zwilch being played. Okay, she's played at places like the Kennedy Center, the Davies Symphony Hall, the Carnegie's Weill Hall, the Hochschule für Musik. She's been on NPR Public Radio, etc. So that's who's playing that music, those early Beethoven and Brahms piano trios. It's sophisticated. It's San Francisco. It's noontime concerts. There are no slouches as far as I can tell. Okay, then we move on to the second concert that we have for you today, which is something very different. Now for something completely different, as people used to say when it was humorous to say so. This is what's up next. It's Gene Pritzker's People and Composers Concordance. Composers Concordance live streams a very brassy evening of contemporary compositions with Bavarian trumpeter Peter Oswald and the BR Plus Brass Trio playing works by Gene Pritzker, Werner Pirschner, John Clark, David Taylor, and Leonard Bernstein today, Tuesday, November 25th. That'll be later in the day, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 4 o'clock on the West Coast. So like 3.5 hours after the concert, the noonday concert in San Francisco, 1 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, and 11 o'clock Wednesday morning down under in Australia. You can see it free of charge on their Facebook page. We'll give you the link. Peter Oswald lives and works in Bavaria. He's the artistic director of what is called a genre-bending music festival, the High Brass Festival. Or in Germany, it would be the Hübrass Festival. And he's played with the Munich Symphony. He's played with the Glenn Miller Orchestra because he blurs boundaries. He's not just one or the other. He has 2 albums out with a group called the Solène Ensemble. And he's a lecturer at the University of Augsburg in the jazz, in improvisation and trumpet. And also in this will be this B3 plus ensemble, which is Franz Hackel on the trumpet, John Clark on the horn, and David Taylor on the bass trombone. These guys have played with for Composers Concordance in the past. They're graduates of the Juilliard School, the New England Conservatory, and Manhattan School of Music. But about 60 years ago, a couple of them are octogenarians in their 80s. Yeah. And this is going to be a mix of jazzy and more conventional music, but very contemporary. So they'll be doing a new piece by Gene Pritzker that has never been performed before. So it's now music, as I call it. called Middle East Side Story, interspersed with selections from Bernstein's West Side Story. You get it? Okay. And then another new piece by Werner Pirschner called Do You Know Emperor Joe? And then selected works of John Clark and David Taylor. So that's Composers Concordance, Tuesday, November 25th. And we move on then it's Wednesday. March Vivo has a live stream for you, which you may find interesting. It's they've been doing this series on Ravel, which is of great interest to Spanish musicians. Wednesday, November 26th, March Vivo continues its series on French composer Ravel's engagement with Spanish music. As the Rubinstein prize-winning pianist Juan Floristán plays Ravel, Debussy, and De Falla, along with readings from Ravel's the diary of Ravel's good friend, Spanish pianist Ricardo Viñez. That's at 6:30 in the evening, European time, 12:30 on the East Coast, 9:30 in the morning on the West Coast. Ricardo Viñez and Maurice Ravel met when they were teenagers and became friends in their careers, and they were friends throughout their careers. So Viñez knows all sorts of things about how Ravel came up with some of the things he composed, and he wrote about it in his diaries. Of course, those will be in Spanish. So brush up your Spanish. They'll do Pavane for a dead infante. It's not an infant. It's a princess. Debussy's The Wine Gate from 24 Preludes, Book 2. Ravel's Sonatina by Ravel. The Jeu d'eau, The Play of the Waters by Ravel. De Falla's Andalusian from 4 Spanish pieces. And Ravel's Mirrors. Floristan's a prize winner. Like I said, won Rubinstein International Piano Competition, won first prize at the Steinway competition in Berlin. He's played at places like the Royal Albert Hall with the BBC Philharmonic, Wigmore Hall, etc. So, and a fairly well-known Spanish actor will be reading the extracts from Viñez's diary. Now, sort of along those lines, another concert there's another concert that I want to tell you about on Wednesday, and I don't have a photograph to go with it, but I will tell you about it anyway, with or without a photograph. Oh, well, I can put up this picture for you. I can put up the church where the event is happening. It's at the Catholic Cathedral in Moscow. Classical guitar lovers may want to tune into this. It's a live stream of the International Guitar Festival on Wednesday, November 26th, featuring Albanese's popular Asturias, a Vivaldi concerto for mandolin, and tangos by Piazzolla. Music for guitar, soloist, organ, and chamber string orchestra. That'll be at 7 in the evening, European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. They'll have a chamber or a string chamber orchestra, and the organ and guitar soloist doing things that start out with Arvo Part's Fratres for guitar and string orchestra. They'll do that Vivaldi concerto for mandolin, strings, and basso continuo. They'll do a Bach choral prelude. They'll always throw in just an organ number in these concerts. And then they'll be finishing up with the Piazzolla and some other guitar compositions in between. Check it out if you love the guitar. Or even if you don't, you may come to love the guitar. Then we move to Sunday. Just have a couple more to tell you about now. It's a brief week. We have young'uns on Sunday, or they're called young'uns. They're part of the Young series. Sunday, November 30th, March Vivo live streams the Stèles duo, young violinist Valerie Steenkane and pianist Ricardo Ali Alvarez, playing music which they say embodies the sonic dimorphism between tradition and the avant-garde. You may want to tune in and find out what that means. They're playing, I think it means they're playing a mix of old and new music. They'll be playing music by Benjamin, several pieces by Zwilch Benjamin. He's a contemporary. A lullaby for Lalit, a canon for Sally, Lauer Lied. They'll play some Arvo Part, and they'll play a piece, and they'll finish up with the Richard Strauss Sonata for violin and piano in E-flat major, Opus 18. Well, why not? Anyway, Valerie is a phenomenon. She's 25 years old, German violinist. She's from Munich, the fun part of Bavaria. And when she was 23 years old, she was appointed concertmaster of the Spanish National Orchestra. Wow. Okay. Studied at the Munich Hochschule and then at the Reina Sofia School of Music, so that gives her a connection with Madrid. And Ricardo Ali Alvarez Acuna, he's Mexican, won prizes at the Angelica Morales National Piano Competition and at the Edvard Grieg Piano Competition. And he's played around in Madrid, in Bergen, in Milan, in Mexico City, and played with various regional orchestras. He has an album out called Ballade et Images, featuring works by Liszt, Debussy, and Ponce. Nice Sunday morning concert. That's at noon on Sunday, European time. So very early in the morning in the US, but a lovely time. The time in Australia will be 11 in the evening, Sunday evening, down under in Australia. And now we come to a concert that I mentioned earlier. Having to do with the work of Zwilch. Top musicians from the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra venture out to community concerts at Second on Sunday, November 30th in a live stream of quartets and quintets by Ellen Taffe Zwilch, Jean Francex, and Johannes Brahms. That'll be at 3:30 in the afternoon in Baltimore, 12:30 noon on the West Coast, 6:30 in the evening here in Europe, 7:30 Monday morning down under in Australia. They'll do the Quintet for Clarinet and Strings by Ellen Taffe Zwilch. They'll do Wind Quartet by Jean Francex. And they will do Johannes Brahms Piano Concerto number 1 in G minor, Opus 25. There's a whole list of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like 14 different musicians. My hats are off to them for coming out from and playing in this community concert context, reaching out to people who may not otherwise really have access to much in the way of chamber music concerts. Occasionally, some of the National Symphony Orchestra members play at the Kennedy Center in these sort of chamber music concerts as well. Folks, that's what we have for you for this week. I hope that someone or any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. Whether it's old music or new music, young people or accomplished people, whether it's the wild contemporary stuff of composers, concordance, or the more traditional live streams where people are playing early piano trios by Brahms and Beethoven. We've got it all this week. With that, I will sign off for this week. Wish you a great week, and I may be back at the end of the week on Friday for highlights of the weekend. Ciao for now.